Hi, I'm Vanessa Marquette here at the Office of Veteran and Military Affairs at Syracuse University. This is What's Brewin. Today with me, I have Siobhan of Army ROTC and Mazin of Air Force ROTC to talk about Month of the Military Child. Thank you both for joining today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So Siobhan, let's start with you. Who in your family served in the military?
I actually have quite a long list. Starting on my mom's side, her dad, my grandpa, was in the Navy. And then her older brother was a signal officer in the Army and is about to retire. My dad was in the infantry for 28 years. His older brother was armor for almost 20 years. My older sister, who is currently an Army nurse, my older brother, who was infantry and is now attending West Point, and then there's me, now in ROTC.
That's awesome. How about you, Mazin?
For me, I guess I'm like a second generation military member. My grandfather on my father's side was in the military police in the Dominican Republic. My father is in the Air Force right now. His twin brother was in the Marines. Two of my other uncles also served in the armed forces. One of them was an Army Ranger, and the other one was also in the Air Force. I have one cousin who's currently in ROTC and another one who just enlisted in the Coast Guard.
Lots of connections. My family is the same way. My grandfather served, both my parents served. I have siblings, my nephew, and now I'm also married to a military member, so I understand. So how did your family service impact your childhood as a military child?
There's obviously direct impact from my dad's time in the Army, where we're moving, every 2 to 3 years, and that moving is sometimes to a different continent. And so you leave your friends, you leave your school, and you start over. There's also less direct influence in all the other people who have served, but also including my dad, again, in that there's an immense pride and respect for it that is just so deeply rooted within our family's culture, that when I was considering going to college and considering taking up ROTC, that was already a really, really positive option that was just in the back of my mind because I have so much respect for my family members who served.
Thank you. Mazin, how about you?
Yeah, kind of similarly to Siobhan, it's just the heritage and culture I found like an extreme gratitude for. I mean, I feel like to be able to step in the shoes of not only my relatives, but everyone else who served in our armed forces before us is a truly honorable experience. And to do that, through ROTC and to work to commission to become an officer it's just super rewarding. That's more of like an indirect kind of thing. Directly, I think just the structure of my life was kind of established throughout, the military culture, just being super prevalent within my family. And I'm also very glad for that.
So I know you kind of just said like now you're in ROTC because of that. So would you say your military family service really inspired you to do ROTC, or was there other things aside from that inspired you to go that route?
No, most definitely. Growing up on military bases, I've talked to, pilots and other officers, and, they say the officer way is the best way. There's no other route you want to take. So, I've put that into consideration and, put it into effect. And here I am, Det 535, best in the country.
I know there's a lot of challenges military children face as their parents serve our country. I know for me, my parents were both retired Air Force Reserve. While we didn't move, I was gone probably once a month with them to their duty stations, or would have to stay with family members or friends who took me in when they had to go, and also through deployments, which also led to them missing events and things like that, which I know you two can relate to. Can you kind of talk about some challenges you faced as a military child, or what others may face going through this experience with their family?
There's basic things like the stress of moving, the stress of going to a new school, the stress of missing your friends, and the worry that you're betraying them because you're making new friends, and trying not to compare your new friends to your old friends. That was definitely more prevalent when I was younger. And then when you get older and you start to understand the reality of your situation more, there were key things about when my dad's life was in danger that he didn't tell me when I was 6 years old, because why would you tell your 6-year-old that? You just learn gratitude over and over and over again, because it's so rare, so few and far between that you find other military kids, especially outside of a military base. And when you do, it's like you just found this hidden treasure, right? Because so few people can relate to your situation. So I was actually born in Syracuse, and then my dad was assigned to Fort Drum for 6 years. So from 2 years old to 8 years old, we were in Fort Drum, and that's where he deployed to Afghanistan a few times. And then we moved to Belgium, and we were in Belgium for 5 years, which I'm so grateful for. It was a 3-year job and a 2-year job, but we didn't have to change houses because he was working on the same base. So that was wonderful. And then we lived in Florida for 2 years, and then he was assigned to Camp Zama, Japan for 5 years, where I did 8th grade until I graduated high school. There are times where I missed my dad like crazy. There are times my mom missed her husband like crazy, but he also drew lines and made sure that his career path didn't overtake his time with his family. He made sure that there were things he didn't miss. If there was a high school graduation, a college graduation, he made sure that he showed up. And that is now like ingrained in my siblings and I. And just makes us, exceedingly grateful over and over again.
Amazing. Thank you. Mazin, how about you?
So my situation is a little bit different than Siobhan. I haven't had to relocate or anything. The base my dad works at, it's within 10 miles from my house. So when he would get deployed, he would just go, and, I'd see him when he comes back. So I didn't really have that moving around and switching schools and making new friends experience. And I'm sure that was extremely, difficult to go through. Like Siobhan said, the younger I was, the less I understood. Dad's going on a trip, he'll be back in 3 months. That's really all I got. And then, as I got older, I understood what he was doing, and I understood, the danger he put himself in. I say the biggest challenge I faced was just growing up with, large chunks of my time not having my father there. I mean, that would definitely affect anyone. And I found myself to, get used to it, but it's still a difficult process. I'd leave a lot of pressure on my mom, and, I'd try to help out when I could.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. Like you, I didn't have to move, but having them gone or deployed was very stressful. But in the end, it kind of makes you more resilient for going through those things. So what is one life lesson you learned as a military child?
So for me, I would say it's definitely how you present yourself at all times. I mean, my dad's in the Air Force core value number 1, integrity first. And he always told me, no matter who's looking, no matter who's not looking, you want to represent yourself, in a presentable, professional manner whenever possible. And I've tried doing that my entire life from, as early as I can remember. He'd always ingrain that, you need to be respectable, be someone that, he would be proud of to, be my father. And I try to emulate that behavior whenever I can.
I can relate to that a lot. And I think the word I would, if I have to choose one, one life lesson from being a military kid, I think it's respect. When I was 6 years old and we were moving to Belgium, my parents gave my siblings and I the "you're now an ambassador to your country" speech. You are, anytime you go off base, and my sister and I went to school off base in a all French speaking Belgian school, and that is probably their only experience, or in that time of their life, the only interaction they have with Americans. So we are not just representing our family, we are representing our family and our parents, but we're representing our country. And you have to go in with this baseline understanding of respect and humility to any situation you're going in. I've had such the amazing pleasure to be part of, incorporated in, and exposed to so many languages and cultures. And you can't experience those from a place of why are you doing this? My culture, my country, my language is better than yours. You know, you have to pick your feet up a little bit, roll with it a little bit, and learn something. And there's so much waiting. There's so much out there waiting for you to learn and enjoy and participate. And every country that my dad has served in has been so willing to teach you. You know, it's so rare that you find someone who is angry that you're trying to speak their language, which is just so beautiful.
How does it feel to you to be at Syracuse University as a ROTC cadet with all this experience you have as a military child?
My personal experience has been a little difficult so far, in part because I'm a music education major, and those are rare in ROTC. You know, the STEM majors get all the love because they're the most compatible with what ROTC does. Like I said, I graduated high school in Japan and moved here for freshman year of college. I think I am still getting over some of that culture shock, not just from moving from all the way around the world, but from going from a military setting to a civilian setting. A civilian culture is really, really challenging. And that's one of the biggest reasons I'm most grateful for ROTC, is because they keep that underlying thread of military culture in my life that is now so civilian based. So it's like, it's able to give me a community that have a mindset that's most similar to home.
That's really interesting. I never thought about it like that, but it makes a lot of sense, and it's good you have that community. How about you, Mazin?
It definitely feels great. I mean, I'm one of those STEM majors that, you know, the Air Force, they love so much. But I mean, I'm honestly just super grateful to be able to be a Det 535. Like Siobhan said, you get the civilian life, you know, you get to experience college, you get to, you know, be a student, but you also have that military structure. You have, you know, you have something to work for, military related, while you're in college, and it's a truly unique experience, and it's definitely one that should be promoted more. I think it's an excellent opportunity for students all over the country, and I'm just extremely grateful to be part of it.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is unique, because the more I think about it after you said that, like, and maybe Mazin, you were probably the same way. All my friends growing up, like while we didn't move, none of them had the same challenges we had with our parents going. And it is nice to be around people who kind of understand like what a deployment means and going away for drill or things like that. So, well, thank you both for joining us today. It's been a great conversation, and thank you for your service as a military child, and happy month of the military child. And that's what's brewing at Syracuse University, the best place for veterans.